Hey everyone, we'll just give a few minutes for everybody to join. Great to see you all here. Welcome. We'll just give a couple more minutes for people to join. For those of you that are brand new here, who've just discovered HyperCycle, what are we? What are we doing? We are engineering network infrastructure and software for the Internet of AI, and AI that is deployed with HyperCycle to the Internet of AI gains higher intelligence or more revenue. You can own a node factory, which is on the Ethereum chain. Head over to the articles tab, Hyper Guide, and it'll explain how to get set up. And you can also now own the advanced node factory enclosure. Again, if you head over to the articles, you can find out how to purchase what we abbreviate to Amphi. We've also released a software bundle, which is available for the Amphi. These are performance enhancers, upgrades, software, agents that all provide a service on the Internet of AI. If you're interested in being a node operator or training node operators as an educator, or you wish to deploy your AI to the Internet of AI, visit hypercycle.ai. That's hypercycle.ai. Hey Ray, great to see you here.
Hey guys, great to be here. I've got a lot of interesting things to talk about today.
Good stuff. Should we start with the CBNO? So that is for those who don't know, the Community Beta Node Operator Program that Ray started. Do you want to just give us a little update and some insights into how that's going, Ray?
Yeah, love to share with you guys what's happening in that group. So, a little less than a month ago, about on September 18th, we started a program, CBNO. There's currently about 15 participants in there. And what's happening in there is that is our first onboarding experience, letting people come in, install nodes onto hardware that they choose. Could be a laptop, could be a computer that's dedicated to the node, could be a virtual machine, really any hardware running Ubuntu operating system that's capable of running the node software. They get access to a node software package and a special repository designed for the program. And then they take off and have the experience of installing the node, looking at what's available, how the logs function, what the performance of the node is. Once they have stability there, they have functionality, they're able to do something that no one else is doing right now. They're actually able to register an ANFI, enable the licensing on the node, and till their ANFI. It's the only place where you can actually till your ANFI right now. So it's kind of cool that those program participants get that extra perk and they start to see that before everybody else. Kind of like a little VIP, I guess you can say. And then they're also entrusted to start deploying AIMs. And in this particular case, we gave them a guide to deploy what we call the buoyancy AIM. Buoyancy AIM is, for those of you who recall SETI, that SETI project that was out there years ago, where you can download a program and when your computer went to a screensaver, it would start participating in crunching astronomical data. Or in this particular case, the actual search for extraterrestrial intelligence and all the data associated with that endeavor. So your computer would actually become part of this large worldwide network that would grab
That's
data
where I
and
was found,
download
right?
data. Yeah. Yeah.
That's where I was found. You guys used the SETI to find me.
They were looking
So
for aliens.
almost, yeah,
Hope they
that's
still
right.
are. So yeah, so that's what that was about. So this particular aim, what it does is it crunches data in a similar way. It processes that data, it downloads it, processes it on the node, and then it uploads that back. So it's performing computational cycles, and depending on the performance of the rig that this operator in the program is bringing, they have more or less credits in the Einstein dashboard. Einstein at Home is the particular project that allows you to grab this data that's happening all over the world in different astronomical situations, satellite data, telescope data, pulsar data, all different kind of astronomical data is being crunched out there, and then see how the node operates and how it handles. This particular aim also makes use of GPU. So it's not just using CPU cycles. It actually will grab onto the GPU if it's there, and it'll take the whole thing if you give it to it. So we had to learn how to uh, power control the GPU and make sure we're not burning ourselves out in crunching all this astronomical data. So far the program's been stable. It's been progressing well. The next step now is to deploy an AIM that has a payment system associated with it. So the AIM will actually take payments in exchange for computational cycles according to whatever the AIM is doing. And we're identifying and isolating a few AIMs that are capable of doing that, and also building some interfaces to make that easier for the operators to play with and run with. So that's where the CBNO is right now. It's dedicated really to stabilizing and onboarding the process of node operators who want to run on their own hardware. Some of these node operators will also be brought into HyperPG's computational cluster. The ones that can contribute higher ends of hardware and resources will be allowed to do that, assuming that everybody graduates. So that's the program. At some point, we'll be opening these doors up wider and we'll allow more people to come in and enjoy. There are guides that make this a lot easier now to do. And at some point, this is really going to be a point-click experience, kind of what we're going for. So that's the CBNO update right now.
Thank you, Ray. And I have to say, I've never had so much fun. It's an excellent program. If you think you could contribute to it and you want to get involved, then please reach out to Raymond. As he said, he will expand it. The more the merrier. The is running in parallel, Dr. Robert Moir's education program, which I believe is going to be starting as early as next week. And that will also give you the basics on operating nodes. So that's very exciting too, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I saw
likewise.
we've now got some speakers on stage. Welcome Tufi, welcome to H. Bell, and for the first time I think you've been on stage, Trash Can. Was there a particular question, or did you want to wait till later, Trash Can? Or maybe he requested by mistake. But it's great to have you here on stage with us anyway. Tufi, how are you?
Hey, excellent. How are you?
I'm really good, thanks. I have got some good news.
I'm gonna tell you that through this I might be a little bit interrupted because I'm going through another travel, but I'm good in between. But yes, I can hear you well, and I hope you can hear me well.
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Awesome.
When
So
you,
some good news.
yes, I'm sure you're probably aware of it, but maybe you haven't checked the latest number. When you started C8 at the start of the year and you were talking about it, you said we wanted 5,000 node factories.
Hmm?
We're well ahead of that. I believe there's now over 7,500 amphis, across
Wow,
different levels. Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, wow, that's awesome.
And there's been 2,000, I think 600 of the C8 software bundles that are now attached to those amphis. If you haven't claimed yours, please do. It's, we've spent a long time on it last episode. We also have an article giving a brief explanation of each. So you can claim your C8. Now, Tufi, I've only got one question for you, this week. I think you were so comprehensive last time, you were here. They were left satisfied, which is fantastic. Shall I go with a question now, or did you want to start with something?
No, go ahead. Start with the question.
So this isn't a hypercycle one. This is about the boxes and in-home devices. Obviously, with the a lot of people are interested in being operators, and they're just wondering if you have an update on future plans for in-home devices, or if you'll be so the sort of H box, if that would be revived.
Um, you're referring to which boxes again? Just to be
So the H1 and H2 boxes, people were wondering if there'd be a new model of that, a restructure, how if there's any
right.
future plans.
Mhm. Yeah, there. Uh, we we have several different vendors, and as everyone knows, and I mean, the the management to change a few times of that, which is uh, like anything that happens to us. They sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it's accidental that it happens where it weakens an ecosystem. We turn it around and come back stronger, and we're doing the exact same thing here. Um, we did it wasn't rumors, or there weren't rumors like that. Some of the boxes that we're talking to, they have hardware components to them that they can self-destruct if you try to open them, and they are NATO approved. So effectively, they enable Shamir secret sharing on the hardware level, and you cannot be able to find out how it's doing it. That's one of the vendors, at least. And the other vendors that we're contemplating, they do include NVIDIA, because we're looking into having some sort of a partnership with the NVIDIA folks, because they've done such a great job on the hardware side of things. Um, Structurally, we want to make sure that folks understand that there's a lot of benefits in having the proximity close to wherever the compute is being demanded, but at the same time, there's something that we've alluded to last week, which we kept it close to our chest for a long time to prevent a certain attack from happening and taking a chunk from the ecosystem. And the attack did happen, and they were able to take, the peanuts, and we maintained what's really matter to the ecosystem here, which is the raison d'etre of the boxes. Many of the architects in the company, they already know that it's a lot more around the relay as opposed to the actual compute itself, and that's why like some partnership with NVIDIA that is being contemplated. So when those are progressing, they can go in so many different directions. A lot of people with very little IQ, they think that we are just like lying every time because things change. But in every startup, if you don't iterate a lot and you're not able to evolve, then you're stupid. Then and we don't belong to the stupid kind. We belong to the kind that we're allowed to evolve. So luckily, we have a community that can enable us to evolve, and that's why many of you that have been around here, you know that there's a point in time that I talked about a community of over 4,000 node owners, and we realized that they were HYPC owners. From them, we went down in the numbers to 1,300, and right now we're over 1,650, which is fascinating because those are like warriors. Each and every one of you, you're basically filtered down and we keep doing that, and believe me, it hurts to reduce the number. We want to have a bigger number, but it hurts more to keep that apple. So if you've got somebody who keep complaining and they keep like looking at all the negative side of things, if you want negative, believe me, you will find it in every single thing in life. This is not just like in hypercycle anything that it's no matter what you look at. You want negative in Bitcoin? I can get you over 100,000 hours of talks. I can tell you all the negative of Bitcoin. But I'm sure folks that they want to see Bitcoin going up to $1 million, they're not going to appreciate those stocks. But that's just like something that has utility to the Homo sapien, and it's called Bitcoin. Okay, we've moved in this world to something that has value to the AI that we are giving birth to, and those of you that they see that value, that they feel it like I do, are going to have a piece of that future, and we are extremely proud to be amongst each other and then keep empowering each other. So I urge you, as soon as you sense a negative whatnot, to kind of highlight those negative ones and throw them aside, because they should not belong to the center, because the more you throw them aside, the more we can prosper without them. You don't want negative ones. You want the smaller set, but the stronger ones, because that's going to be our base to be multiplied by a lot bigger numbers. And if you have negative in that base, then it's also going to multiply by negative, and we all know we don't want to be multiplied by negative. So yeah, I always caution against the negative folks, but we want to make sure that we don't let the negative take anything away from all the positive people and all the ones that are working so hard to get to where you're at today. You know, if the base gets to be a little bit smaller to cut down some folks out and then get to be all solid and strong, then then be it, and that's what we're gonna have to do. So we did it with Hyper Appliance, we did it with Hyper Ring, we did it with all of those things, and they made us like a stronger. Right now we're looking at $7,249 of ad fees, and believe me, a few days ago we were talking about a backstop of that of 200 million US dollars, the backstop of that. That it's going as part of an investment that will be announced next week on Wednesday. And I will not talk about which nation, but I will wait until they make that announcement. So for those that they don't appreciate like how powerful that thing is, they can just they can just go beat it. We know how hard it is. We worked to get to the $7,249 per ad fee, and to have $200 million to be backstop for it, that's a huge milestone. So, we and this is like within few days from that price to be up, because it will be listed in the next couple of days, I guess. I'm not sure. You probably know more when that's going to be listed. Is it listed yet?
Brandon's working on it. He's working on it as we speak. He was targeting. He said it'd be either today or Monday.
Right.
Yeah, he's on it.
Right. So look, I mean, yeah, and sometimes people they complain about things getting like too complicated. We're like, you know what? I was sitting with the founder of Naver from South Korea yesterday for dinner, and Naver is like the equivalent of like the Google and it's like the WeChat of South Korea, and he was saying that they have about 300 different products. Each and every one of them could be a company on its own. And it seems many people on the table, they actually knew that. I did not know that. But, if you want complexity, when people, they look at like, oh, C8, it's too complicated to have 8 more assets. Well, they don't have to take them. They can stay with the bare one. We need to evolve, and we're not going to let anybody stop us from evolving. Okay. If we want people to stop us from evolving, we would have stayed in Bitcoin. We all know and appreciate all of the innovation that was done in Bitcoin, but at the same time, if you're a true technologist, you already know that like when something that is not allowed to evolve, you'd be like, what? You're telling me that I'm obliged to keep using Hashcash from 1998? But yeah, it is what it is. That's Homo sapiens. They get stuck with things like that. We're not gonna let anything in this ecosystem to stop this vehicle from evolving, including those that they don't understand it. If they don't understand it, they can just like, be miserable on their own. We're not gonna. It is what it is. And if we,
It's
believe me, if we don't do it, someone else is going to be doing it. So it's like, there isn't, there's no escape from evolution. Those that they gonna go against evolution, they will be not evolved on their own. That's not gonna happen in this world.
it's um it's funny you should talk about Bitcoin. I think most people know in the early days people were mining for more Bitcoin. There was an article recently and it was exploring about how much the AI companies like OpenAI, Google are spending on training their models, and it was in the billions. The article was a bit negative towards them. It was saying about how they're spending all this money, and they're actually making a loss. Now, I know that they know it's for the intelligence of the AI that they are throwing this money. Can
Mhm.
you just explore this article a bit further in how
Yes,
the
there's no
node
escape.
software
Right.
expands the
Exactly.
intelligence?
Exactly. If anything that I bet my life on, and I suggest people they look very carefully if they want to bet against me, that the demand for intelligence will be the number one in the entire world. Like everything else will fall behind that. Whether it is demand for food, electricity, you should find anything. You're not gonna have uh, higher demand than intelligence, and it's gonna continue from that point growing forward. And it's not because I said so, not because I want it to happen, whether I exist or not, that's gonna happen. It's just a matter of like, do you want to partake in whatever that world is gonna look like in that wealth creation, or you want to fall behind? That's, you know, uh, evolution will take its will will get rid of all the the ones that they don't necessarily partake in its progression. So yeah, like this is happening, and when they're spending this much money to go to get intelligence, many people they can say, well, if they wait a bit, then that becomes free. Sure. So that there's another aspect here that you need to pay attention to, and it's time. So if they get this intelligence in a certain period of time before someone else gets that intelligence, it seems to be worth billions of dollars to them, and they're not stupid. So I so yeah, the the speed to get intelligence is gonna continue to accelerate, like a ball falling or like anything going, like gravity. It's gonna the closer the ball gets to the ground, the faster it gets, um, and the more you wait, the less you're gonna capture from that, um, because you can wait for everyone else to get on it. Like many, um, they they're still waiting for, um, Bitcoin. They're still waiting for a lot of things, and just there's a general uh, rule in defining intelligence, and many people they don't seem to disagree to the following. But it's like the conversion from thermal from potential energy to thermal energy. You can get more and more things done through that conversion, then you're more intelligent based on how much you can get in that conversion. So, for example, if you were to take um, potential energy such as electricity, it's considered the same potential energy. You plug that heater in a wall, and it converts it into thermal, and that's like the most. You still get some utility out of it, but that's like the most stupid kind. You're not getting a lot of actions. If instead you put it to turn a fan, many people they think the fan decreases the temperature, but it doesn't. it's going to increase the temperature in the room, but you're getting some action happening. Then if you were to put a computer in that room, you get some compute, you can play video games, or you can do mining. As much as people think that like mining is a waste, believe me, most of the Bitcoin mining, if it was a waste, we would have used it for something else. It's just like anytime there's that excess that's going to be utilized anyways, people are smart enough to put it towards mining, and that's actually enabling a lot of infrastructure to exist. So when folks they realize it's like, okay, well, we can't do mining anymore because Bitcoin price drops like 90% or whatnot, but then they could reutilize that infrastructure towards AI. So there's like there's a lot of infrastructure that's gonna be enabled to convert that potential energy towards the thermal and get a lot more done through that process. The net of it becomes heat. Heat is what the thermal energy is. But in that process, you were able to get a lot of compute. If in that compute you're able to capture intelligence, holy fuck. This is what we're talking about wealth creation, okay? This is like an objective reality of wealth creation. This is not some sort of like, just because Homo sapien believes that Bitcoin is worth money. This is just like an actual thing that in this universe is beneficial, whether you're Homo sapien or not. So the conversion of that potential energy to thermal and getting more intelligence out of it is something that's going to continue to accelerate, and we're going to get more out of it. So for us to come in and saying like, hey, look, we provide that network layer that it's as frictionless as possible, and we do it in such a way that we can enable any compute anywhere to compare A versus B, because somebody's going to always be like, why would I use hypercycle if I can use something else? But that's not the question you need to ask, because it doesn't matter what you use. You can always then say, okay, let's put everything else as equal. Everything else, like you're saying that there's a new competitors to hypercycle, which in fact it won't be competitor. If it's intelligent, it would be complementary. But let's say that it's trying to position itself as competitor. That thing, you need to take A versus B, so that you put two instances of it. Take two instances of that thing that it's supposedly like so much better. For the argument's sake, not necessarily saying that that's going to be possible, that it is going to be so much better, but let's say it is. But take two instances of it, A and B, okay? Now, one of them, you plug a node into it. Even if that node has just, whatever, what you've stated, like those numbers that they were sold in the last few weeks, 7,500, has access to only those. Now, an objective reality, some Martian is going to come in and looking at those two, A and B. B has hypercycle plugged in, and A doesn't. Everything else is equal. That Martian by those AI is going to go for B. Okay? I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm just like, if you were to ask any intelligent being on the entire universe, this thing is everything that A has plus. Okay? So certainly it's going to go for that. Now, if someone wants to remove what you have because they're jealous from you, they cannot, because there is no such thing as a time machine. In order to gain that thing that you've got, you utilize the time that everybody's watching stupidly without participating. Well, I mean, luckily everyone in this community, they're doing things in it, but they're sitting there and they're not doing anything and watching, but that time is passing. You are using this time to produce certain things of value that alien machine is going to give value to it. You see how powerful this is? So it's like, we gave the worst case scenario that's like everything else is equal. Somebody did something so fascinating, so much better, and we still come out strong. You know what that means when that alien AI is going to choose B? It's going to choose B every single time. Okay? It's going to choose B every single time, which means that you already have one thing that adds value to every single AI more than anything that exists anywhere. Of course, you're gonna get like, somebody will be like, yeah, but I can always like do XYZ that's gonna do that. And it's gonna be a little bit more. Not true. Not true. They're gonna have to, if they were to do the exact same things, they're gonna have to go way back in time to when this whole thing started and start getting all of those proofs. Otherwise, they're not gonna be able to get as much as you do. Because if they're able to do better than what you do, you can always go back and say, okay, let's put A and B next to each other, and B is gonna win.
And
You see where I'm going with that? This is extremely powerful point that can enable you to eliminate every attack, so long as that attack has some intelligence. Now, if it doesn't have intelligence, if it doesn't reason with you, move on. Don't waste any time on it. Believe me, you'll save yourself a lot of effort to give the intelligence that you've got, the knowledge you've got, to someone else who actually can reason. And that can be a very good process to eliminate all the bad actors and all the you know, the ones that they are not willing to admit that they were done a mistake, but maybe they need to open up their mind and see that there's something that is better. So having that ability to admit that there's maybe something that I did not see, now I can see it. This is extremely important, and this is what's gonna get us all to win. We have it all. Every single one in Hypercycle today, we have that modesty, including myself. Every single day people that work with me, they hear me saying it repeatedly. Oh yeah, I've made that mistake. So we need that attitude for a lot of us to evolve. So when we see this logic that I've just outlined to you, that people that can reason with you, then you can see that they're coming in to be part of this community and making it multiply. Because every time you add a positive person to this community, whether it is an entity of like 65 million people, or whether it is just an individual who just graduated from university or about to enter university, it would amplify all of us. So we need to have more strong and positive supporters.
and one thing I want to add, for those who always tune into the HyperSpace, they know I say this at the start when I'm introducing Hypercycle to our newcomers. I didn't today because I think this ties in with the higher intelligence. So most of you know, but I just want to really explore a little bit what that really means. If you own a factory, we call it a factory because, and only through tilling a factory, it produces 1,024 nodes within that factory. The Amphi also can enclose other software, so that will produce 1,024 of the other software. So having this demand for higher intelligence, and then owning a factory that can produce these nodes, there's a convergence there, isn't there, Tufi? Or at least I believe so.
There is what?
A convergence, because you've got this demand for higher intelligence. As we can see, the smart people now, they're throwing billions to get the higher intelligence, and here we have these factories. Everyone who owns these factories, the Amphis, they can produce these nodes that can increase the AI's intelligence.
Right. Yes. So when you have that capability to increase intelligence, it's directly or indirectly, it increases the other side that they want to sell compute. So let's say you have a firm that want to spend like a few $1 billion to increase their intelligence, but they just do it in a closed environment. These guys, they don't benefit the entire global network because they're doing it in their own environment, and that's fine. They're entitled to do whatever they want to do. But the argument that you are making, which it makes a lot of sense, that the demand to get more and more intelligence is there, and that's what what those examples that you've given, they're proving that the demand is there for more intelligence. Now, when you have more demand for intelligence and that intelligence is accessible by having one single node into their ecosystem to have access to the Internet of AI, that single node obviously is going to give them one specific vertical or whatnot, but it's just going to, if you were to again compare A versus B, if they were stuck with some accuracy at like 99% in A, and then B ended up getting that node that gives them access some intelligence built somewhere else or some knowledge built somewhere else that increase that ratio from 99% to 99.1%. Now they have a software that it's better than the other one, so the entire world will end up using B versus A by just simply having that tiny little thing that it's smarter. So now, if you do the same for a lot of different verticals, rather than having one single node, you empower that intelligence with a lot of other nodes. That means that those nodes, the nodes that they end up benefiting some AI with intelligence, that also means that they end up feeding the ecosystem with money. Because in order to get that intelligence, you're not only buying the node and you can get unlimited amount of intelligence for free. If anybody thinks that, then they're probably missing. When we talk about things, and if we don't detail all of the aspects, it's because we assume that people, they have some intelligence to comprehend that you cannot just plug a node and gather all the intelligence in the world like for free. Every single time a node is going to acquire intelligence, it's going to have to pay. It's like you pay 0.001 cents. And this analogy here that I've used yesterday, it's like, again, analogies that you cannot apply them 100%. They're just there to give you one aspect of the equation. So you have a car factory. You produce cars. People that they buy cars, they might buy them because they want to be Uber drivers and make money from the cars, right? But some other people, they want to drive cars not to be Uber drivers because they want to get from point A to point B. Maybe they want to enjoy the car, whatever. But those that they do that second category, that they don't have the car to make money, they spend money on the car. Every time they drive it, they spend for electricity or gas, or whatever runs that car. Similarly, if you have produced a node and your client wants to take the node to make their AI smarter, that doesn't mean that they're like, oh yeah, I can buy the node from Anthony for $1,000. He can give me that node, and now my entire AI on its own is going to continue in perpetuity, get smarter than all the other AIs. Sure, but you have to depend on it, and it's one node per specific vertical. Like if you have that node is making a request in facial recognition, but you need voice recognition, and you need text to speech, you need speech to text, and all of those. Then you need to have different nodes. So you may want to come to Anthony and then try to buy many nodes, or borrow them, or ask him if you were to plug them for. When I say free, it's not like without upfront cost, but if you were to utilize them, then then you can have some sort of like something that you would give him. So, for example, every time you make a request and you spend a penny, you're willing to pay him XYZ, or you give him the ability to go and partner with the folks that they are supplying or whatnot. So there are a lot of ways to plug that node without having to spend upfront money, but that does not mean that it's free. Sometimes people, they ask after next space, they say, hey, you said that like people would give the nodes for free. We work so hard to produce those nodes. Why would they give it for free? It's not free. It's more like without upfront cost. that's probably your business model. Maybe your business model is saying like, you know what, I don't really care what you do with my node. If I produce it, I'm going to sell it to you for $100 or for $1,000. We do have one client who's seriously considering purchasing huge amount of node factories and having them to produce nodes so he can sell the retail every single node for $1,000, while the wholesale he won't sell for a lot less, and he wouldn't even tell us for what less. Um, but his use case is that like if every AI that it's plugged in somewhere that it has a node installed into it, then that such as the example that we used at the time, security camera. You have security camera, you need to make sure that your building is secure, or your airport, or your city, or whatever it is. You care a lot about safety. If that AI that is plugged into your camera is instantaneously detecting the difference between people hugging versus people fighting, but it has a 99% accuracy as opposed to 99.9%. That missing percentages sometimes can cost a life. What would that? What's the price for that? In some areas of the world, they probably don't care much, but the world's evolving into we care more about safety and security and so on and so forth. So that kind of added level of intelligence is worth a lot. And if they were to pay, they've spent $5,000 onto the camera and the AI that is in it, or sometimes spend $15,000 on those cameras. To spend an extra $1,000 to enable this camera to have access to every single intelligence that is out there in the world, because remember, that's a one-way intelligence. That's a huge benefit to them. There are, in what I've just said to you right now, some people would say like, wait, but in XYZ environment, they don't let anything from that network to go to the outside world. Sounds like North Korea. Anyway, so they might say that, but then they might realize that like if they don't have access to some intelligence elsewhere in the world, they might not, they might fall behind. You want to enable the latest and best in intelligence to, if you're responsible for safety of your people, that's your job. So I think people will come to a conclusion that they will find ways around those kind of things, and they won't let them stand in a way. So I hope again I've given you a long answer to your short question. But as you can see, I've been around the clock working on this stuff, so it's fascinating to see things growing.
Thank you, Tufi. The other big news piece that's come out was Jeff Bezos' comments. So he said that people will choose to live in space. Robots will handle labor-intensive tasks, and there'll be massive AI data centers operating in orbit. Obviously, last X-Space, we unveiled Space Nodes. We talked a little bit about it. It's one of the software that's gaining the most sort of excitement and attention. Did you have this in mind when with Space Nodes, or is there a different use case? And the other thing people are asking is, how future is this tech? Is this something we're going to be finding more out about more soon, or do you have any sort of insight into when this sort of technology is going to start coming around?
I hope sooner rather than later. I just know that there are many different phases in how it can. And we're not working with a single space agency, by the way. If so, and we keep whatever confidentiality that we agree with folks who don't necessarily disclose, but whenever folks on the other end they're ready to open up and tell the world, it's probably like would be good enough for us. But if we can get the things sooner, of course we'll share. Sometimes I share things sooner without necessarily saying a specific thing that I've learned from any one of the partners or clients that we're working with. It's just by predicting it, and many times people they think that no, I've had an in into Google. That's how I was like precisely was able to, even in the notations that we've used, it's like similar to the Google whatnot, as if it's like, I saw how they're doing it and we did it. Well, that's not true. Maybe they're copying us. Like that is like, it's not like, if there's some engineers there that worked for me in the past, that they don't necessarily have to copy us like exactly. They can do a lot of things that are similar, and that's a good thing for us, good thing for our community. Google, they're not doing anything that is copying HyperCycle. If anything, they're extending what HyperCycle is doing. Like if you were to really like be able to bribe Google to do this, we would have. And same with like Microsoft and Web, same with Cisco, Internet of AI agents. And, as I get people sending me private messages, hey, do you think you should like sue so and so because they're using the same notations that you have used, or do you see the same wording, whatnot? I'm like, absolutely not. I want them to do this. This is actually amplifying every single node owner. Everything that we're doing it because we want to inspire others. We want others to do it. At the end of the day, the Internet of AI is going to be open for everyone to use, but we're just figured out a method to make sure that our community is going to benefit, the most, because they're doing the work. You're doing the work. You could have been taking this, like every single one of you that is like listening right now, you could have taken those minutes and spent it into some other things. Okay, this is time that is being passing, so you're doing the work. If you're doing the work and someone else is doing the work, why don't you deserve to take a piece of that pie that is being created into the world? If the Internet of AI is going to be $1 quadrillion, does HyperCycle ecosystem deserve 0.1% of it? If it does, and it's doing 0.1% of the work, then it's like perfectly fine. Even if we're doing 1% of the work and we end up with 0.1%, hoop-tee-ta, like we're not gonna cry over that. We should just like continue marching forward and embracing every single initiative in this world that is doing things to push in that direction. The worst thing's gonna happen with this approach, you'll forever be remembered that you did it first. Your great-grandchildren will remember you did it first. It's the worst thing. The best thing, you did it first and you monetize the fuck out of it. So let's do the latter. Okay?
Agreed. Excellent stuff. We have
Sorry
about
for the
10.
effort, guys. I apologize. Every single time I say those things, I apologize, and please accept my apology. I do not intend to curse, but it's been a hell of a battling with all the bad and the good and all of this stuff, but it's super exciting to see it coming. Super exciting, and I invite every single one to expand, to grow. Look at the history. Look. I mean, Anthony, you've already looked very deeply into talks that have given years ago, and you saw them how they become reality. Months ago, they become reality. A month ago, they become reality. We know certain thing about the future. All of us as community, let's keep empowering each other and monetizing it for the benefit of our community so we can grow. Because by benefiting our community with monetization, it's going to get a lot of people to gonna want to join us. So let's do it.
Definitely. We have 10 minutes left. If there is any questions, you are welcome to raise your hand, come up onto the stage and speak. We're happy to answer them. We do have a little bit of housekeeping from the tech team. So, a lot of people have been asking about unlocks, and when they will commence. The first unlock is going to be, early Q1. It could be a bit earlier than that, but I think they're saying early Q1 to manage expectations. The tilling.
That's the release of it because it had already happened, right? Are you talking about L9 to L8 or L10 to L9?
L10 to L9.
Yeah. So the 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 technical aspects of it, along with the ratio and all of that, that has already happened. If you're talking about like Q1, that means that the actual distribution of it in a fully decentralized setting, as opposed to having it custodial, because currently it's partial custodial. So let's make sure that that's people, they know that that is the case, because the ratio was reached and things continue to move forward. The technicalities of moving from custodial to non-custodial is what's actually happening. So
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you. That is a very important distinction because I know a lot of people were raising that actually because they've gone past the stage monitoring their tilling where they could have achieved an unlock. So if you are past it, you will have unlocked to level 9, and what you're accruing now is working towards level 8. So yeah, this is a very important distinction for those who are asking about the unlocks. Thank you, Tufi.
Yeah, I want to give you one example. One major, I think he's probably here on this call. Major. Remember, we have over 650,000 node factories that we have sold, probably about 670,000 now, and we have about 1,600 and change node owners. Some of them they're big, ginormous companies. Some of them they're tiny little shops, but we all work as a community, work together, learn from each other. And it's all is great. One of them who owns over 10,000 of them last Thursday, a week and 2 days ago, he had mentioned that he was very happy that there is revenue that is being received. And then we kind of like reminded him that the actual difference between the revenue that the node is generating versus the revenue that already started 2 years and 9 days ago in Hypercycle. So if you are a node factory owner and you're part of the tilling that started 2 years and 9 days ago, that's when your revenue has started. It's like if you're a car factory and you start producing cars, as you're producing cars, those things are of value. Now, of course, the actual distribution of the car and selling them and all that will get the monetizations towards like liquid. But when your car factory already started producing cars, you're already making money. So well, maybe I should have a distinction between the revenue and making money. So the making money machine started 2 years and 9 days ago. So for someone who owns like 10,000 node factories, the L10, 10,000, they would have about 20,000 L9s, right? The L9 in about maybe 6 months from now or whatnot, or maybe because he already had 3 months ago. So maybe by Q1 we'll have the L9 going to L8. This is where the magic happens from the release perspective. Again, if you're a bit confused, you can look deeply into the white paper and you'll understand what I mean. The L9, they're two smaller factories of 512 each, but they can act as nodes. But when L9 they give birth to the L8, then you'll have 4 L8s. Let's say both of them they give birth. Let's say they're both operating in the same speed, although they don't have to, but let's say they are. The L9 they go to L8, and now you have 4 L8s, right? You with me? 4 L8, 256, right? So is that correct?
Yeah.
Now what happens to the L9? Those are free nodes. You get me? This is extremely important because when I've explained it the other day, some people they're like, "Oh my God, oh now I get it." Like, I had to explicitly say it in those words. What happens to L9 when the L8 now they're acting as nodes and node factories? The L9 is no longer a node factory, right? But the L9, they're nodes. They're free nodes. They're just nodes. They no longer produce, they're just nodes. Those nodes, you can take them and sell them on their own, plug them on their own, give them away, gift them, do whatever it is. Those nodes, they've gained so much from the system. They have so much provenance, so much proofs that will be fundamental for the system to prevent from a Sybil attack. Because in a parallel universe, if a company like HyperCycle decided to print unlimited amount of those, that company would be the biggest risk on a planet, because then you can have an attack vector coming into this company becoming malicious or whatnot. But instead, when you have over 1,600 node factories, each and every one of them, they're spending all of this effort to produce those nodes, and those nodes, they, after all this time that pass and the compute and all the stuff, they become free nodes. You're not gonna want to sacrifice them to steal a penny or to steal $1 or whatnot. You really guard them because they're so valuable. They have all of that history. You want to continue maintaining that reputation and so on and so forth. And that is extremely, extremely important. And remember, this is objective reality. Those are all cryptographic proofs every 15 seconds. This is not just because some company decided to give them the stamp or whatnot. This is all math. So that's when those L9s, they become free. Then again, L8, when the L8s, they give birth to the L7s, and then what happens to the L8? They don't die. They become free nodes. Those free nodes, they are those that they are in the ecosystem, that they understood what I have just said now, they might find it too difficult to explain to someone who's new. That's why we don't necessarily have to use those words to explain to someone who's new. You kind of want to, I don't know if you've ever explained how SQL Server works, or how web layers work, or Bitcoin works. You gotta go in stages. You can't go one shot and tell people if you get someone who's never really learned how Bitcoin works, and you go right away and tell them Hashcash, this is how Hashcash works. In Hashcash, it's you have to guess those numbers, and you give it, you put a word, you gotta hash it, you gotta come up with 70 zeros ahead of that, and this how, and then people will be like, holy fucking macaroni. Now, look how complex is that 16-year-old technology. Now, if you're expecting that this hypercycle is going to be less complex, you're probably delusional. It is not less complex. It's going to be way more complex. If it's going to be anything less complex, then you're delusional. Okay, so we know it's going to be more complex, but please, let's give it one spoon at a time to newcomers. You just can educate them. There's node factory, it produces nodes when it spends time, gives 2 nodes and then 4 nodes, so on and so forth. But then when they get into the technicalities, then they realize of how precisely this mechanism works.
And we're all still learning as well, Tufi. It is a big learning curve, but the interest that everyone is showing in gaining knowledge of all aspects and the questions they're asking. Talking of questions, we do have Cruising on Crypto has come up on stage. Did you have a question?
Not a question, but just a comment. I've been with this project for over 2 years, and to watch it grow and to be a part of it, and actually have Tufi comment on some of the questions that I've had and some of the projects I've been involved in, and all the help from all the community and the growth that we've seen. I can't be more proud to be a part of it, and I'm looking forward to what's happening next. So just
I'm so proud to have you, by the way, and thank you for all the questions and all the years. It is when someone asks me hey, so you're so lucky you came to this ecosystem. Please have this recording to tell you that no, you're not passive. You were extremely active. You were looking for us every single day, and I know who you are. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks to each and every one of you. every thought and every energy that you spent into this is why we are who we are. This isn't luck. We're working hard on this. So thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for the kind words. We have a couple of questions coming from one of the group chats. The first one is, when will education modules be available? So as I said earlier, we anticipate next week. Please don't lynch me if it's not next week. We're aiming for that, and it's looking like we're on track for that. It could be maybe a few days after, but it will be this month. And they're also asking about tilling. I assume you're asking about the occasional dropouts that the tilling experiences. So the software actually had a major patch today. So we can't say 100%. It's a case of it's brand new technology. So we apply something, we see how it performs, but we're fairly confident that this should stabilize and improve the uptimes even more. So we'll monitor the tilling over the next week or so and see how it performs. That's on the node factories. And if you're asking about the Amphi, they are also in the process now of moving to their own direct tilling. So for those who purchased from Node Market, if you've subscribed to HMS or you're lucky enough to be in the CBNO or you want to follow the education program launches, you will be able to directly till your Amphi this month. And for those who were part of C8, the original snapshot back in May, your Amphi will now inherit all of that tilling history. So as Tufi said earlier, a lot of those nodes have reached L9. They're now progressing towards L8, and that transfer over to Amphis as well this month. I hope that answers your question. It is 10:02. We are looking very much forward to Wednesday, Tufi. I'm sure it'll be very exciting.
Yes, thank you. It's Wednesday Asia time. So for those that are in the West Coast or Hawaii or whatnot, before you wake up, the stuff would have happened. So exciting times coming.
So those of us, sorry Tiffy, I've gone a bit quiet there. I know you are traveling. So for those of us who are in the West, it's over in the East. So when you wake up, you should be waking up to some good news, or just don't go to sleep, whichever way you want to do it. Thanks so much for coming on, Tufi. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Thanks so much for having me. Take care, guys.
Thank you, Tufi. Ray, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I just want to say, thanks to Cruising on Crypto for being here, your kind words, and your participation also in CBNO. It's been great. And then I just want to invite you to invite your whole family. Bring them all in, man. You and all your friends and more people like you. I appreciate it.
I have what I call my hyper circle, and it is the group of people that have been like-minded and are now part of the HyperCycle family. And I share what I learn here, and we go and we upgrade our nodes together. We do that, and we share that just to make sure everyone is successful. So
Awesome.
that grows.
That's what we want more of, my friend. Thank you.
And also Anthony and Raymond, I just wanted to say thank you so much for the CBNO experience. It has been a blast. We are also very excited at Hyper Performance Edge Computing with our community. And Cruising also, it's very exciting that you're also stepping in with your own community and explaining to everyone what the journey about HyperCycle is. And well, thanks everyone. It has been a super great experience, and looking forward for the next years and watching all these node factories expand to the next evolution.
And we all grow together.
Yes, we all grow together. Thanks, man. I always appreciate your energy. HPEC DAO, So I know you and your community have been a big strong point for us. So I really appreciate your participation and your loyalty and your continued involvement in the way that you're expanding and some of the cool things that you're doing with your nodes. And I know you guys are talking to the Cornucopias community, excited to see how that plans out and everything else that you're wanting to do. So just big thanks and shout out to your community as well.
Thank you, HyperCycle. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. If you haven't seen it yet, there is a video. We gave a little sneak peek of the CBNO. So you'll be looking at Node Manager and AIM that's being deployed to Node Manager, and then it's interacting. And that's actually from my one. I think I was on, I'm quite proud of, in the millions of credits on Einstein at home. I might have to get another computer, Ray, and keep one on Einstein and start running another AIM on a different one.
That's the idea. And remember, you can
Yeah.
virtualize, and even on Windows, you can have multiple instances running either through Hyper-V or with WSL. And you can, virtualize really across the board. And there's a bunch of data centers out in the world that are doing it at low cost. Of course, just remember, the lower the cost, it also dings you on your compute performance too. So you're always balancing that out. Jeff Bezos has his way with his Kuiper, low Earth orbital satellites. He's trying to build that an orbital data center, a gigawatt orbital data center. So if he's successful with that, each one of those satellites will actually be doing compute locally on themselves and then beaming each other up in space instead of having to come back down to ground station. So that's another opportunity for us at some point as well.
Yeah, definitely. And excellent stuff. All right. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in. And thank you ahead of time for those who come and listen to the recording. I know we're all different time zones and you can't always make the live show. But we are just as great to have you listening as we are for those who have come in and tuned in this hour. Thank you, Ray. Thank you to Vidal. Thank you, Cruising on Crypto, for your contribution. I think he's left, but thank you to Tufi for attending. We look forward to Wednesday. The next HyperSpace is on October the 20th, so 10 days from now. I hope to see you all again soon. Have a great rest of the day or a great night time or an evening, wherever you may be, everyone, and take care.
Thanks, everyone.